What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Resplendent review of Elise. I'll be going over the build options that you can run on her for different game modes, and at the end I'll have a special bonus segment as well. So Resplendent Elise is a Gen 1 unit and she is one of the few lucky healers to get a weapon refine because she's not a demote healer. So she is available in the 4-star special category, and before that she was a 5-star locked unit. So Elise's staff is a 14 might weapon which can give her plus 3 speed, and it also has Wrathful Staff built into it, which is really great. And then after the combat, she can just inflict gravity effect on the target and foes within 1 spaces of that target. And the weapon refinery part is the supportive effect which she can provide to herself and also the allies only in the player phase. So she herself gets the -4 debuff to all stats of the opponent in her player phase, and if a foe is within 2 spaces of her and another ally initiates combat in the player phase, then they can also take the benefit out of the spectrum debuff on the opponent. It's only there for the player phase of Elise and her allies, so not exactly a spectrum rain, which would have been much better, as in the enemy phase you would have been able to make use of this with like save tanks. But at that time when she got her refine, we didn't really have any kind of save tanks. After the Resplendent stats, she does have 34 offenses, which is not the highest in the modern times, but she can function as an offensive healer. You can see the stat comparison between a +1 Ljósálfheimr and a +10 max investment Elise. So Veronica does end up having a lot less resistance, but I would say that Veronica's weapon refine is a bit better because its support can actually be worked out in the enemy phase as well. And young Ljósálfheimr was present in Hall of Form, so a lot of people did get her. And at +1 merge, she's going to be having pretty much the same offenses as Elise, and she actually gets +6 attack and speed from her weapon in the combat, and also has the resistance debuff. So young Ljósálfheimr can still be quite offensive even at just like +1 merge because she's a modern unit. Resplendent Elise unfortunately doesn't really have any kind of super boon or super bane, so completely neutral all across the board. And the gravity effect in her weapon is actually not the worst for hit and run, especially now that we have Canto as a status. So you can actually run her with Harmonic Tana so that she can get the Canto 1, and after inflicting the gravity effect, she can just retreat without having a trace skill in her slot B because of the Canto of Harmonic Tana. So that is something she couldn't do before until like last month. So she had to give up her Dazzling Staff to run the trace skill, but now Harmonic Flame Tribe Tana is going to be a pretty good ally with her. And gravity effect is decent, but still like it's not as good as the flash status or the guard status, I would say, because generally it is going to be a lot more effective on the save tanks and annoying them. Gravity effect doesn't mean against like the save tanks because they're still going to be saving their allies. So unfortunately that doesn't really help too much in the meta that we are in. And as it is, I would say that healers kind of do struggle in the metagame unless they provide some kind of support like Elimine, Fjorm, or like Flame, because offensively they don't really have too many options. And there is also Ascended Fjorm now who has Null Counter Disrupt, so that's a bit annoying. And of course Mystic Boost can just stop the Wrathful Staff so that the healer does not do much damage. Healers also do not have access to the special, so unfortunately they're not going to be able to hit very hard. Even, you know, some of the most offensive healers, they pretty much have to depend on the annoying effects from the staff so that they can open the way for their other allies in something like Aether's defense. And we also have like healing duo skills and healing skills in general now, so it's a lot easier to be self-sufficient. And healers did see a rise when we did have the 7-slot unit and we had the return traps and all of that, restore traps. So back then, like, healers definitely were pretty nice, but as we got the save tanks, the safety fence, false start of Elimine, they're not going to be as useful in something like Aether's defense like they once were like a year or 2 ago, I would say. And they also lack 400 SP assist options and 500 SP specials, so even with the dual skills, they're not going to be that high scoring in arena. So there are still reasons why we don't really see offensive healers that much, but still at the very least, Elise has the weapon refine while pretty much all of the demoted healers are starving. So if you're going to be building up Elise on a budget, then she could be used in limited hero battles, arena assault, and stuff like that. And you can just give her attack defense form for her slot A, and you can just run her as a support unit so that you can essentially get more stats out of her by using her weapon support and by doubling down on drive attack. So this is a budget build that you could run, and Dazzling Staff is going to be good if you can afford to, but it's not the most budget skill, I suppose. And if you're going to be investing heavily into her, then this kind of offensive build is a standard on any kind of healer, and this could work at low investment as well, but I'm just showcasing Elise at her maximum potential. So Talk Speed Catch 4 does give you the most offenses, and Odd Recovery is a pretty fantastic support skill that you can have access to, and you do have access to Odd Recovery and Return Plus in the Divine Code section itself. It's not the hardest skills to get if you still have them available, and she's mainly going to be functioning in the player phase because the Refine effect is only active there, so running a player phase Sacred Seal like Blade Session is going to be nice. And you can also run Attack Speed Push 4 if you want to, but I know some people do dislike the recall damage, so Talk Speed Catch can work out. And you can also run her with the Fortress skill if you're not going to be pairing her up with Harmonic Tana, and if you still want to hit and run after the gravity. So for that, Attack Resistance Menace is going to be helping you, just stacking with the in-combat debuffs that she can get with her weapon. And this is going to be helping with her survival because Elise has got one of the lowest HPs in the entire game. So yeah, surviving attacks without the Dazzling Staff is definitely a tall order, especially on the physical side. So Attack Resistance Menace can help you just do more damage and also with your survival, so that's an option if you want to hit and run. Because of being a healer, Elise is going to be useful in Aether defense with this weapon that can provide the support in the player phase. So she could be used in a Bridal Catria team in the Dark Season. I know, extremely original, but yeah, it does help you because it is going to be giving you more damage output, and she can also provide you the odd recovery, so when your units in the Catria ball are going to be attacking, they can just do more damage because of having Elise being present there. And you can run the save skill so that she could still be on the front line and not really get nuked. So Catria balls do run near save and far save many times, so if you really want to use Elise, that could be possible honestly. And she could also be run with a node team that has just the high threat range, but then again, if someone uses Ascended Fjorm, then it is going to be a bit annoying. So definitely try and have units that can destroy Ascended Fjorm, some red units that are very strong, so that she doesn't really get end turned by Ascended Fjorm, which is, you know, pretty easy to do. You can also use some other weapon actually, and I would say that Flash Plus is actually better than her weapon in Aether defense. Outside of Ascended Fjorm, there's no other save unit who can retaliate back under the, you know, Flash status. Only she has got null counter disrupt. So against a lot of the other far save tanks which are superior to Ascended Fjorm, like Ascended Idun, Brave Hector, Duo Duma, against those enemies, the flash status can be really helpful and really annoying to them. So that can be a pretty nice option and can be another way of annoying your opponent with your team. And again, you can just have odd recovery, and push kill is honestly pretty fine on the Dark Season because you're going to be using her with Medias, so there's no chip damage that is going to be taken, so you can easily run that. And flash status, I would say, is pretty much the most common staff I see in Aether defense in the higher ranks in Vault of Heaven if they even use a healer. So yeah, this could be an option, and it is certainly popular for the reason I stated before. You can also run her for just the pure support and just have her with Grand Scratcher Plus. So Grand Scratcher has been available in the free Ephemera manual through Hot Spring Sakura, and that's a pretty good option because it can just give -1 special cooldown to the ally with the highest attack. And in the day and age where we have got Legendary Hector, Asker, and so many of the other units who can give you the special acceleration, it's not the most unique and strongest, but on Aether defense, this could actually be pretty helpful, especially with Bramimond and Medias buffing up the attack of your allies with their Dark Blessing. So maybe a high attack unit, you can just have them with this kind of pre-charge special. So it could be helpful in a mixed movement team, especially when you can provide them with infantry speed tactic. But the thing with pre-charging the specials is that hardy fighter armors are going to be common. So even if you like pre-charge the special of an ally, the opponents can often just soak up the special damage with hardy fighter. So you could also, you know, just turn down the special acceleration to just 1 cooldown strategically, so that in the Bridal Catcher team, you can trigger the, you know, special on the second hit. Elise can also be used with Return and Restore, and I do have Restore on the 3rd build as I'm not running Odd Recovery, but Odd Recovery is definitely a pretty nice support to have in Aether defense, even though it's not, you know, the same it was before Safe Defense. It can still just get rid of the debuffs, which is still pretty nice. And in the Dark Season, there is no Elimine, so that is even more helpful. And you can run Return with like Winterburn Nadetta and make a Return Trap, but save units can pretty much just tank that anyways. So yeah, those options are available with those builds depending on your team. You can also use her in different game modes. Like if you want to use her in Aether Raid's offense really badly, then Tana Baton Plus from Divine Codes is a good option. Now there are a lot of better units that you can use for supporting safe tanks, but this is not the worst thing ever because you can just free up your skill slots on your safe tanks from running any kind of guard skill, and that is often going to be a thing with many of the spar safe tanks. Like if you're running a Hardy Fighter on your Brave Hector, then he's not going to be getting the guard effect. So the drive guard of Tana Baton is actually pretty good for preventing these special attacks of the enemies, so this could be run so that you can support your safe tanks. And far safe tank is going to be having the most pressure from the range opponents, so double distant guard is something that you can run. And you can also provide the free healing, which is going to be nice as well. You can also run her with Melancholy or Tana Baton for Rooker Siege, and in Rooker Siege you can simply Melancholy the healer and reset their special cooldown and just have the guard effect on them so that your main nuke can just attack them again and again. So this is pretty much a thing you can do with any healer, but if you like Elise a lot. And finally, if you're the biggest Elise fan in this corporal dimension and you actually want to give her C-Dual Cavalry 4 for Arena, then yeah, I'm not going to stop you. I guess you could do that, but it's not optimal for scoring. It has become a bit better, at least I guess, with the 300 SP slot B skill, so they can score as a 170 BST unit, but that's way too low by the modern standards, honestly, when people are going to be having free 190 BST units in their core, like Holst. So for a free-to-play player, I would really not recommend this. And the only way you could use this in like tier 21 or even tier 20.5 is when you have like maxed up legendary units, and one of those legendary units is the bonus unit. So you can just use 2 legendary units and a very, very high scoring duo unit, like maybe like duo Doomite plus in merge, or duo Crom at like max investment so that you can compensate for the lost scoring. But yeah, arena healers are just not a thing unless you're the biggest fan of them and you have the resources to kind of compensate the lost score. It might seem a bit weird that I'm trying to give her an improved refined theorycraft, but a lot of you really like this, and I didn't really do this on like Faye, even though her weapon refine is decent. It could be improved, but still it's pretty nice. But a lot of you really like these, so I thought I might as well do this. So here I'm about to improve the weapon refine of one of the few healers who actually has it, and it is like a 2-year-old weapon refine. It's not the best, so we can definitely improve this. I would still keep the +3 speed and Wrathful Staff, but give her +6 attack and speed when she initiates combat. So this is going to be improving her offenses, and the gravity stays in her weapon. But now with the weapon refine, she's able to get Canto 1, and that is not the most broken thing right now in the modern times. A healer being able to hit and run with her gravity staff. So I think that would be really fun. And there are a couple of other units who can do this as well, like Legendary Claude and Brave Camilla, but they don't really have Canto in their weapon or base kit, and they just need like Harmonic Tana for that. But with this, she can be a lot more self-sufficient and definitely be unique in that aspect, and I would pretty much make her support condition as a Spectrum Rain skill. So this is going to be helpful in both Aether Raid's offense, defense, and pretty much any kind of game mode, and it does work well with the safe tanks, and it could be a unique support that she can provide. So haven't really improved this weapon too drastically, but just added a couple of things that can make her a lot better. So let me know in the comments what you think about this, and if I should be doing the improved refined theorycraft for even the units who are one of the few lucky ones to get the refine, or even if like their weapon refine is not the worst thing ever, because we can definitely improve, I guess, a bit. So I hope this does make you guys happy who do look forward to these. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to share this with your friends who are trying to build up Resplendent Elise with the modern builds. And if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below. And for more Faye videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Wrathful Staff against Mystic Boost. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.